Hello there, everybody, and welcome back to Innocent Life. We are now on the third Sunday in spring. I've woken up early for absolutely no reason at all, so we have a little bit of time to pass before we're able to go and speak with Dr. Hope. We're going to go today and we're going to get our maintenance done. And there's also something else significant coming up today that I'm looking very much forward to. It's going to sort of breathe a little bit of life into the game's gameplay, because at this point in the game, we've been doing a lot of the same things for almost an entire season now. This game is a little bit slow to start, but we are going to be being introduced to some new mechanics and whatnot, so I am looking very forward to that. It looks like all of my crops so far have been absorbing the water with the strange moss, so I don't even need to water this morning. Like I said, no idea why I woke up early. I thought maybe I'd have something to do when I actually don't. But everything is coming in very nicely. I just went ahead and picked some asparagus yesterday, I do believe, and I got a very tidy profit off of that. You can see we're now back up to about $1,500. Last time I played, I think we were down about $400 or so, so it doesn't take very long for us to actually work up our money. And then as you can see, we have a bunch of other stuff that's going to come in very shortly. And at this point in time, I think I've shipped almost everything that we're going to need for the Spring Festival, which is coming up next week. So we have 6 days to harvest everything that we haven't already harvested in time for the Spring Festival. So looking at my inventory, I think I've got enough space. Before you head on into town, what you'll want to do is make sure that you've dumped off some items in your item box to make a little bit of room in your inventory. And if you have the hammer, definitely bring it with you. And if you don't have the hammer at this point in time, I would absolutely 100% recommend making that your next purchase if possible. Getting tools is sort of a priority, obviously, because we want to make sure that we keep our fields really well maintained. And it also has other uses. The hammer, for example, we're going to be using today to do a little bit of mining. You may have noticed this area up here is locked and we're not able to access it, but that is going to change very, very soon. Now currently on the clock, it's 8 o'clock in the morning, and I do believe that I'm able to go in and get my checkup at 10, so I've got a little bit of time to kill. I guess we can start making our way down to the mansion here. Now it looks like Dr. Hope's waiting for us. Maybe we can do this really early on. Oh, actually we can. Would you look at that? I thought I had to wait for a certain time, but I guess not. Most days he's in the kitchen eating breakfast until morning, but I guess on Sundays that changes because he's waiting for us to do our maintenance. So that is good information to have. We can get the maintenance done and out of the way. And I do believe that he has the same bit of dialogue every single time. This is the same thing that he said last week. By the way, I have something to give you today. It's a very important key that's been handed down for generations in the Grain family. There's a locked door in the cave by the entrance to the town, isn't there? This key opens that door. I'm sure it will come in handy. Here, take it. So if we look at our inventory, we get the Grain family key, which is going to allow us to open up that locked door in the cave. And if we speak to Dr. Hope again, we can get a reminder for the Spring Festival. The festival is next Sunday, so if you want the crops you ship to be used for the offering, you have to ship them by Saturday. You should probably ship them soon before you forget. So we get a little reminder about the upcoming Sunday. It's going to be a big week next week. And we're now given a little bit more access to a bit more of the game. So if we go into the cave now, we can start digging nice and early. If you walk up to the door, we can unlock it. And then when we get back to the farm, what we're going to want to do is put that right into our item box, because once you've opened the door once, you don't need the key every single time that you want access to the area. So we're going to go ahead and equip our hammer, and because we didn't do any watering today, we have a nice full stamina bar. This is a really great way to level up our hammer. These few rocks in this area here will replenish every single day. So if you don't want to actually go into the mine, but you want to kind of work on your hammer's experience, then that's a good place to do it. And then if we go into the mine, on the bottom right hand side of the screen, we can see that there is a map. And we can explore this area. I'm going to go down the left side first. And before I do any sort of demolishing of any of these rocks, I'm just going to go around and I'm going to open up these treasure chests. And each one is going to contain a jewel. I do believe that we get 2 yellow jewels and a blue jewel in this particular cave. And jewels are a really, really important aspect of the game that we're going to be learning a little bit more about. So there's 3 chests in total in this mine. And if you take a look in your inventory and read the descriptions of these jewels, fields surrounded by the power of this jewel will retain water for 6 extra days. You can take it outside of the cave without setting it in a socket. So you can have these in your inventory as normal and move them around on your farm and to and from the cave. So each jewel has a different sort of ability. So the blue jewel will help your crops retain more water, and the yellow jewel will help your crops mature faster and retain water for an extra day. And these are actually the key to unlocking more areas in the game. Now that we've done that and we've picked up those very important items, what we're going to do now is we're just going to go ahead and we're going to take down some of these other rocks and see what we can find. There's a couple different items we can find, different kinds of ores. You've got volcano ore, you've got plain ore, and you've also got shards of the crystals, which you can use to attach to tools, or you can use them for a boost, depending on what color the jewel is. And if you're quick enough, because this is a very small mine with just a couple of different mining areas, you can get this place mined out in probably half a day. So a couple hours of in-game time. And some of this stuff is actually fairly profitable. The volcano ore is worth quite a bit, especially if you collect a really abundant amount of it. So here, for example, we have a crimson stone. It kind of looks like it's just a little tiny piece of what would be a red jewel. And what you can do with the crimson stone is you can use it to restore your PP. And there are other colors of stones as well, which you may or may not find. All of this mining is completely randomized every single day. And of course, all of the rocks and everything are going to replenish each and every single day. So you can go through here every single day and you can mine like you would in any other Harvest Moon game. So this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the crimson stone into my bag instead of using it because my PP is pretty full. And then if we want to take a look at that, you can see here that it is a piece of red glowing stone. We can use it for PP recovery. But if we leave the cave without setting it into a socket on our tool, it will turn into plain ore. So there's a couple different uses for these stones. all of the uses are pretty useful in my opinion, because even if you don't use it, you can still get a bit of profit off of it. Now, what you can do is you can set it into a socket into one of your tools. So, for example, if we want to put it into our hoe, at times, and this is completely random, you won't need any energy while using the tool. So you can get some very interesting buffs on your tools, again, depending on the color of the stone. I think there's just one more... Oh, actually... I think there's one more little area to mine, and then we're pretty much done. So, like I said, very small little starter cave. It's nothing too overwhelming. You can get through here in a couple of hours, and you still have plenty of time to do everything else that you need to do in a day, so that's really exciting. I'm very pleased that I've got that to kind of fill my days up when I'm not finding anything else to do, especially on those days when I don't have to water because the strange moss has kind of done that for me. So now that we've done that, we're going to go back to the farm. We still have plenty of time left in the day, as we can see. I think we went into that cave around 9 in the morning and we left around 1 in the afternoon. And mind you, that was also me sort of doing some commentary and maybe being a little bit more slowpokey than I normally would. So realistically, I probably could have been out of there in less time than it actually took me. And I would still have plenty of time left to do whatever it is I needed to do back at the ruins. So let's go back up to the farm. When you have ores in your inventory, like the volcano ore or plain ore, for example, you need to come up to the farm and you need to put them into the ore shipping bin. Now this is really nice because it will actually show you everything you need to know about the item in your inventory, a little bit of a description about it, how much each one sells for individually, and how many you have right now, and how much money you're going to get for it. Very, very useful information. You can see that we're going to get $440 off of the volcano ore that we gathered, and only $10 for the plain ore. Now, the things about ores is you can't take them out of your inventory and equip them and throw them into the shipping bin like you would lumber or stone. What you need to do is go up to the shipping bin, and I think you press triangle, and that will allow you to dump all the resources you have in your bag into the shipping pod. So that will take all of your ore, and it will put it into the shipping pod for you, and then that way you're not carrying around the items, and you can get your profits for it for the day. And another interesting thing that I found with both the produce and the ore shipping pods is if you go up to it and you press not triangle, sorry, if you press circle, what you can do is you can look inside the shipping pod, and that will actually allow you to see how much you have in the pod before everything gets shipped. So it'll give you a really good idea of how much money you're going to be getting each day before you actually get the money. So that's a really neat trick to sort of go ahead and calculate all of your costs and how much money you're going to be getting. And just as an example, you guys may or may not have noticed these little triangular blocks that are scattered all around the field. These are where we're going to be putting our jewels that we found. So what you want to do, and the general idea here, is to have one square surrounded by the same color of jewel. So if we look at this area here, for example, what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and put a yellow jewel in each of these 4 corners, and once I've done that, this whole area will be unlocked, and I can use the rest of this area for my crops, because obviously right now this part here is the only part that's accessible. The other bonus to doing that and to unlocking pieces of land is that if you do that, the colored doors that you can find around the area will also unlock. So if I got 4 yellow jewels and I unlocked this square of land, it would also help me to go through any yellow door that I can find in and around Volcano Town and the Easter ruins. So mining is pretty important, and I have a feeling I'm going to be going at that quite a bit. It's also very profitable, a really good way to pass some time, and it's also a really good incentive for me to level up my hammer. And as we can see here, I've already got 89 experience points and only 161 to go. It's actually not going to take very long before we have that hammer leveled up. So this is all very exciting stuff. I'm very pleased that we now have that new gameplay mechanic. And what I'm probably going to do is I'm just going to continue on as normal for the next week. I'm going to mine, I'm going to harvest all of those crops. And by the time we get to next Sunday, I'll probably have a lot to talk about. Hopefully by then I'll have a lot of money, and we can talk about buying some other things from the supermarket, like the scale pack, for example. And we're just gonna go from there. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope that I will be seeing you next time.